you should be thinking about what's the behavior. And it's not just what it's a sale. It's not just, oh, I sold something. Because that's really not your long-term goal. Your long-term goal is repeat sales. Your long-term goal is having that customer for as long as you can have that customer. Because it costs me, maybe hundreds of dollars to acquire that customer in the first place. So the only way that becomes profitable is if I have that customer for months or years. And we talk about this in terms of the lifetime value of a customer. But what I'm talking about is what are the behaviors that allow that customer to make me their habit, their way of getting something done. And marketing often gets knocked around for sort of being unethical and that it's like the sizzle or whatever. But I come from the exact opposite framework. That what marketing really does is it helps us design products that work really well for a customer. And it really is about this two-way communication between the marketplace and the company to make sure I'm designing the right products at the right places and putting them in the right distribution channels and communicating what I've done and trying to solve those problems well. And so, when we look at all of that from a behavioral perspective, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get my customers to automate their decision for whatever it is they're doing on me within this context. And so for me to do that, they have to trust me. If they don't trust me, then every decision becomes a conscious decision. I remember a stockbroker I had made a recommendation that I knew was in disfavor with the investing community, but would give him a really good commission. It was over. I mean, as soon as he did one thing that made me not trust him, then I knew I was going to have to evaluate consciously every decision. And if I'm consciously evaluating decisions, what do I need him for, right? So the idea here of companies doing anything that would violate a trust is, from a marketing perspective, the stupidest thing that a company can do. So in many ways, marketing is going to keep a company honest. The other part of this is that so many times the conscious brain basically creates organizational charts. They're trying, the conscious brain's marvelous in being able to handle complex problems. Unfortunately, a lot of times it creates these complex solutions without appreciation for the unconscious mind's need to actually deal with the result. So it's very hard, for example, for a lot of companies to create habit-forming products because their own organizational structure is contrary to those principles. So if I've got the siloed organization, so I've got somebody over here doing this piece of software, and somebody over here doing this hardware, and somebody over here doing the pricing, and somebody over here working on channels or the advertising, then what comes out of that might be very sophisticated and might be very powerful and could do a lot of stuff, but ultimately it's not something that's intuitive. It's not something that the customer will resonate with the customer right away. So you're asking me for these 5 examples, and we got one, and I'm sitting there with a little bit of sweat on my brow, kind of going, okay, what other really good examples are there? And I think you can look at the cell phone industry, and there's a lot of great cell phones, but most people use 2 or 3% of the capabilities of their cell phone. RIM would probably be another good example. The RIM BlackBerry, for the context of the traveling business person, the mobile business person, that need to have access to their email. I mean that's a perfect habitual behavior. You look at somebody with the RIM BlackBerry, when they get an email, their BlackBerry's in their hand before consciously they could have possibly processed that information. I mean, it's all going on at the unconscious level. Watching kids triple tap is just amazing to me on their cell phones to text message. You think about such a non-intuitive user interface, but that's the way they communicate now.